Hello friends, my name is Katie.
And my name is Brooke.
And we are part of the education team here at Zoo Montana.
Today we are excited to talk to you about animal communication, as there are so many different kinds. Just like us humans communicate in lots of different ways, such as sounds, body language, writing, and sign language.
A lot of animal species have many of the same senses as many of us do, including sight, hearing, touch, and smell. So let's go meet some animals here at the zoo and figure out how they communicate with each other, with other animals, and even with people.
Hello, and we are here at our wolf habitat, and behind me I have Kalua. He's an 11-year-old gray wolf, and he came to us from the New York State Zoo at Thompson Park in 2010. If you listen close behind me, you can hear one way that these wolves communicate with each other. Wolves communicate in a lot of different ways, one of those ways being by sound, like you may have just heard. Wolves, like many other animals, use scent as a form of communication. They have scent glands in their feet, and they also mark their territory using their pee. Wolves communicate with sight as well by using their body language. They are very social animals, so this can include movements such as crouching, chin tucking, and rolling over to show their stomach. As well as howling, wolves communicate with barks, whines, and growls. Since wolves are a social species, all of these ways that they communicate allow them to maintain their social bonds and let each other know where they are.
Lander, the North American porcupine. And North American porcupines are an arboreal or tree-dwelling rodent, which means that they're related to rats and mice. Lander here is 2.5 years old. She was born in about April 2019, and her mother was unfortunately hit by a car, which means that she came to us at a very young age. Now, porcupines communicate in a lot of different ways. One of those ways is with smell. They have poor eyesight, but pretty good hearing, and they have very good sense of smell. Right now, she's investigating this box to see if there's any food in it with her sense of smell. She spends a lot of her time climbing up in trees. Good job! I don't think she wants this twig, so we're just gonna go this way. You wanna follow us? Come on. Do you have some snacks down here? I don't know if you can hear it, but she's making some low groaning noises, or almost kind of growling noises. So they do communicate with those noises as well, but they mainly communicate via smell. Hi. I think she wants me to have snacks for her. You might notice I'm not super scared of her flinging quills everywhere, and that's because those quills are not able to be shot at things. They are very loosely attached to her skin, so if something does scare her, she can smack it with her tail or with the rest of her body, and that allows them to be stuck with these quills. So they do communicate with body language by fluffing up their quills or their guard hairs, which are the lighter colored hairs here, or they do it, by fluffing up like that, or they will swing their tail and protect their little head. They're not very social animals, but they do spend time around their babies occasionally. So they will communicate with those sounds as well as by peeing on things. A lot of animals communicate that way because it leaves a smell. Grizzly bears like Ozzy here don't have great eyesight, and their hearing is only about as good as a typical human's. However, their sense of smell is incredible. They can smell things from up to 10 miles away. So right now, Ozzy is using that keen nose to find his breakfast throughout his habitat here at the zoo. Bears can roar and make other noises to communicate with other bears, but it's typically a hey, stay away from my territory kind of call, rather than a hi, I'm here and being social kind of call. Bears also, like many other animals, leave scent markings throughout their habitats. They will pee in places as well as rubbing on trees or scratching trees to leave visual marks.
We are at the lynx habitat, which is home to two Canada lynx, Fierce and Opie. Canada lynx are solitary and silent hunters that are primarily found throughout Canada and Alaska. Since lynx are solitary animals, they do not use as many modes of communication as the wolves do. Their most commonly used modes of communication are typically loud barking sounds when looking for a mate and scent marking such as peeing to let other lynx know where their territory is. Similar to the cats that we find in our households, lynx probably communicate by flicking their ears or by raising and lowering the hair on their bodies.
We are here with Emilio and Takata, the bald eagles. Now these two bald eagles have been at Zoo Montana for quite a long time, and they communicate quite vocally here at the zoo. Many people walking past can hear their squeaky, squawky kind of calls, and that is a very common vocalization for them to communicate with each other in the wild. Mates communicate to each other on nests, and they also communicate to rivals. Bald eagles do not have a great sense of smell as far as we know, so they don't find their food with smell. Instead, they use their eyesight. They have incredibly strong vision, so that's how they find most of their food. They have pretty good hearing to be able to vocalize and hear each other, but they also do many visual displays. When mates come back to each other during the mating season, they will put on amazing displays of flight prowess, meaning that they will circle around each other, dive and swoop and loop, and they will do so many different displays to communicate with each other without even making any noise. They also communicate with just using their bodies by tilting their heads, opening their beaks to threaten, or even panting. While not particularly social, they still use all of these methods of communication to warn humans away from their nests, warn other animals, and to communicate with their mates during the mating season. Outside of mating season, they pretty much hang out on their own and will defend territories near food. Thank you so much for joining us as we explored the zoo, learned about some animals that live in Montana, and learned about how they communicate. We hope you learned lots.
Have a great rest of your day, and we hope you get to visit the zoo soon and meet even more amazing animals.
Bye! Just kidding, we're not quite done yet. We had some extra questions from you, as well as some more information of what to do if you happen to see any of these animals in the wild and how you can communicate best with them. Two of our questions had to do with our friend Lander, the North American porcupine. Now, North American porcupines are herbivorous, which means they eat plants. And here at the zoo, Lander eats a lot of different vegetables like sweet potatoes and peppers and cucumbers and squash and all sorts of different things, even lettuce and kale. In the wild, they eat a lot of leaves, small little bits of branches, as well as whole trees. They like to get to the inner, softer part of the tree as well for their food. If you see a porcupine in the wild, I sort of answered this already, but you shouldn't really be afraid of them unless you're trying to give them a big hug, which I don't recommend. Porcupine quills cannot fling out at other animals, but they are very softly attached to their body, so if you come even close to one and they happen to swing and hit your body, they will stick in your body and it will hurt really bad. So definitely give porcupines their space. They're definitely very afraid of people. I was very lucky to see one once, and it saw me and then started running away as fast as it could. So they don't like to be around people, and they are not dangerous to people unless you try to go up to them in the first place. Someone else had a question about why we call bats blind when they're not really actually blind. Bats are super amazing and live all over the world. This is a little brown bat that can be found here in Montana, and bats have some amazing adaptations. One of those adaptations is the ability to echolocate, which means that they make supersonic, super high-pitched noises out of their mouth, and their ears are so sensitive to those noises that it'll go out, bounce off of an object, and then when it gets back to their ears, it tells them how far they are from an object. Sort of like when humans use their vision to see how far away they are from something. With this incredible ability to hear, bats don't often need to use their eyesight, but they're definitely not blind. However, humans being mainly visual, they have used their eyes to watch bats, and in doing so have noticed that bats kind of flutter around a little bit, and it seems random and kind of erratic to us. With this kind of flight pattern, people just assumed that bats couldn't see anything well into the 1900s. And then scientists were starting to realize they can see just fine. They have excellent eyesight day or night, but it's their hearing that is extra sensitive and that they use to locate their prey and usually to fly around. It's better than their eyes. We also had another question about, are any of the animals that we mentioned today endangered in the wild or going to go extinct? And if so, why? Some of them are, and some of them are not. Although none of them are classified specifically as endangered, which is one of the higher levels of threat for many animals, most of them are facing trouble due to climate change and habitat loss. This particularly applies to animals like lynx, because they are reliant on a specific type of habitat. They're what's known as a habitat specialist, which means they can only live in about one kind of habitat, mainly the Canada boreal forests with lots of snow, very few people, and they're so reliant on the food that they eat, which is the snowshoe hares, that if those animals start disappearing or start moving locations, they may not be able to survive where they currently are. Finally, I do want to tell you a little bit about what do you do if you see different kinds of wildlife in the wild. While you're fairly unlikely to see most of the animals from this video, you might end up seeing a porcupine, for example. And like I said earlier, if you do, just make sure to give them lots of space. And this is a really good thing to do with most animals in general. Give them lots of space so that they can feel safe and get away from you without feeling cornered or scared. You might also come across things like snakes or turtles or frogs and toads, and those are all really awesome animals. However, they also don't know that you're not someone who might hurt them, which means they're going to be very scared of you and have the potential to bite you or poop on you or pee on you, or maybe all of the above. Animals will do whatever they need to protect themselves. So the best thing that you can do is use your eyes or your ears to listen or to watch animals and give them their space. Make sure that they feel safe, and that way you can stay safe as well. Have fun, stay safe while you're exploring out there, and we hope to see you here at the zoo. Bye everyone.